Hey there, welcome to Oh Happy Plants. I am going to be answering a couple of questions today. We've got a couple on the menu here, including a fiddle leaf fig tutorial coming next, so definitely check out the next video we put out for that. I see quite a few issues with fiddle leaf figs all over the internet. It seems like this is a plant that people have trouble with a whole lot, and I have personally found them to be really easy when they are given the right care and in the right location, and that is a huge piece of it. But first we are going to do our Q&A, and as a reminder to anybody watching this on YouTube, go ahead and navigate over to our member community. It's totally free. It's available at members.ohhappyplants.online, and you'll be able to find a bunch of new videos, a bunch of ones that are not available on YouTube, and then the Q&A section if you do want to submit questions to our Q&A. So anyway, getting right into it. So our first question here is, how do I stop overwatering because I'm bored? And I think this is something that a lot of people are really struggling with this, all the quarantine, everything weird that's going on lately. A reason that people are getting into plants right now to begin with, like a lot of people I see started COVID with 0 plants or with a couple of houseplants, and now they have like 60. And then they find themselves walking around their house and looking for something to do and watering just because they want to do something with their plants. And so a really big piece of this is that we as humans, we want to be caring for something. My sweet old cat just died a few months ago, and I found myself like I had been doing all sorts of things to support her health and, you know, just giving her a lot of attention. And all of that combined probably added up to like 2 hours of care per day. And once I stopped doing that, I found myself just kind of lost, you know? I wanted to put that energy into something and I didn't know what to do. And so I can completely understand if all of a sudden we're stuck at home, we can't go see our friends, we can't go like for a while there like all the parks were closed, you know, and we're not allowed to go out in public and just be around people, and you know we still shouldn't, and all of these issues come together and kind of trap us at home, and it feels like we're trapped. And so we need to be able to express that caring energy some way, and a lot of folks are turning to their plants, which is great because there are a lot of things you can do with your plants. But if you're only watering and watering and watering and watering and drowning them, then that's probably the wrong idea. So a couple things you can do. I forgot my props as usual, so welcome to Life with Veronica. You can get a lamb's wool plant duster, or even just a wet cloth, just like a washcloth or something. You can dust their leaves, and I wouldn't recommend using any soaps on their leaves, like dish soap and things like that, or mayonnaise I hear people writing about and swearing by, and milk. Things like that, like soap can strip the cuticle, which is the waxy layer on the leaf, like what makes it shiny when you kind of rub on it. Mayonnaise and milk and things like that, they can actually leave a layer of crud basically on top that dries into this hard film, and then that's kind of there forever unless you use a soap to get it off. And it'll make it shiny, and eventually it may be a really big problem for the plant. Now, lamb's wool will actually leave behind a tiny bit of lanolin, which is the natural oil that is found in the sheep's wool. And that's a non-drying oil, so it doesn't actually form that hard film, and it also, like, it barely leaves anything behind. Mostly it just rubs the waxy cuticle and rubs the dust off and kind of smooths the wax, so it's just very shiny. And so I definitely recommend those. If you need something to do, go get a lamb's wool duster. One word of caution: if you have any mites on any of your plants, you will spread them around your entire plant collection with that duster. So if you have a mitey plant and you dust it and then you notice the mites, and you're like, you know, as you're dusting and you've already done it, just throw that sucker in the freezer overnight. The mites will all be dead by the next day. They can't survive that. And you can definitely, if it gets too dusty, you can definitely wash it just with soap and water, or you can wash it with a special lanolin cleaner. I know that a lot of the wool shops will sell special soaps that kind of put the lanolin back in the wool so it doesn't strip it. Anyway, that's one thing you can do. There's always Oh Happy Plant Bath if you need to do kind of a more heavy duty cleaning, or if you don't have very much time but you want to do something nice for your plants. Repotting is always a great idea if it's necessary, but otherwise it's a terrible idea because what you're doing is you're breaking little tiny bits of the plant's roots when you repot. So if the plant needs to be repotted, then yeah, go ahead. Otherwise, don't just repot because you want to. You know, it's going to disturb the roots. It's going to cause the plant to have some issues, and ultimately, it's not doing your plant any favors. What else can we do with our plants? I mean, I like to talk to them. You can go buy some googly eyes and put them, like, put little tiny bits of tape. It's, as far as I know, not going to cause any problems as long as you don't leave them on there forever. And put little googly eyes on your plants if you're crazy. What else can you do? Rearrange things, you know? Take a look at all of your plants and really pay attention. Get to know what they look like and how they're growing. And if one of them is growing like one direction only, look at it and figure out why. Like, is it going for light? Is it going away from a cold area? Like, I've had orchids on a really cold window that are sending roots that way. Like, the windowsill is right over here, you know, and they're sitting on the windowsill and they're just trying to go into the warm room because they want to get away from that cold window. And so plants will tell us things, just pay attention. It doesn't actually have to be like a really active process of doing something all the time with your plants. Walking around and touching them and noticing them is a great thing to do. And I know that they appreciate it because then if one is ever dry, you're going to catch it right away. Or if one is overwatered or if one has a pest issue, you'll catch it right away. So just walk around and hang out with them and talk to them and stuff. That sounds like a totally hippie, ridiculous answer, and that's okay. I am a firm believer that the things that we give attention to will flourish, and in this case with plants, if you're giving it attention, it means you're going to notice when it's struggling, so you're going to be able to correct it. So that is a good answer, as good as I can do, to that overwatering because of boredom question. Ultimately, hold off. I've seen it said a lot of times that overwatering is worse than underwatering. I feel like overwatering may crash a plant faster, but underwatering can stress it and lead to a million other problems too. So both are bad. Don't do either. Just kind of go in the happy medium. And if you do one, don't freak out. Just correct it. Okay, next question. Winter expectations for plants. Somebody asked me recently what can they expect in the winter, and I did create a video that was like, here are some ways to adapt our care to the changing climate. One thing that you can definitely expect in the winter is slowed growth. You're not going to notice as many new leaves every month. You may not see any for a few months if you're in a really dark climate, or if your plants aren't right next to a window. They're definitely going to slow their growth down. So that is one thing that you can definitely expect. We are going to go ahead and break this up. I have one more little tutorial. We're going to talk about plants that get bugs really often and plants that I see coming in from the nurseries that always have issues. This is something that I'm trying to advise my plant shop clients on because a lot of nurseries send these plants out and maybe they have 1 or 2 spider mites on them, and then they get to the plant shop and it starts dropping a couple of leaves while it's at the plant shop, and they maybe just don't think anything of it. They think it's acclimation. Acclimation is blamed for a lot of things. That is not the case always. And then you bring the plant home and you think, okay, it dropped a few leaves, maybe it's dropping a few more, blame it on acclimation, and then all of a sudden you have a massive spider mite issue that you didn't even see coming because you didn't know that that plant always guaranteed comes from the grower with a couple of spider mites on it. So we're going to go into that in another video. Stay tuned.